All right, Coach, how did this all go down with Emmanuel Mudiay deciding not to come here?
Well, it was pretty simple. I got a call from a family on Friday. And they told me they had a family meeting, and basically the brothers said they were kind of tired of seeing their mom struggle like that. The family's made a lot of sacrifices, and they all felt that Emmanuel had a chance to do something about it. And I asked them if we could meet on Sunday. I was on the road recruiting, and they did. We came in and talked about it. I told them the things that I thought were important. I emphasized going to college and preparing yourself for life, and then, hopefully if we did a good job preparing him for the NBA, and I gave him a lot of examples, but then they told me things that they had been struggling with, and at the end of the day, even though I really in my heart felt that he wanted to come here, and this was the right situation, it was strictly a decision that had to be made for him and his family to benefit by the gift that he has. So the only thing that now that I feel is important, and Coach Smith always told me it's about the kid, and the only thing I can do now is support him and his family and his decision, and I'm going to do that. And he's going to be part of my life, and we're going to move forward. The fact that he committed to us really made our program relevant, a lot like Keith, and we're going to build on that.
Obviously, anytime you lose a talent like Emmanuel and just a kid like Emmanuel, there's some disappointment. But does the timing of this add an extra layer of emotion since you're coming up on the school year? The start of the season is at least within sight. It's not right around the corner, but does the timing bother you as much as the decision itself?
Whoa. The decision doesn't bother me, and the timing doesn't. I didn't say that. I want him here, and I think this is the right place, but he's doing it for the right reasons. So I want to make that clear. Yeah, I want him. We all wanted to coach him. How many times do you get a chance to coach a kid like him? But right now, the only thing I care about is that, he goes to a good situation. He's able to help his family, and he's the #1 pick in the draft. He told me he's got a seat at the table in New York. I promised him when he got here that was going to be our goal. It hadn't changed, but it's never a good time. How many people get a chance to coach a kid like him? So if he'd have told me at any time, it wouldn't have been a good time. But we'll be all right. We have really good players coming back. We have good kids coming in. And I always, when we didn't get selected for the NCAA, I told everybody it's how you handle adversity. So, we're just going to move forward.
When you hear prime prep associated with an athlete these days, unfortunately, there are immediate concerns about whether the child is eligible or there are amateurism issues. You look to last year, there were 2 guys in particular that had concerns. Can you clarify, again, and I know you brought it up in a statement, whether eligibility or amateurism issues were any concern in this case?
Not for me. He got accepted to SMU. We recruited Jordan and Kavar. And last year was a different year with Prime Prep. They got a new principal. And they did a lot of things to comply with the NCAA. Because, there are high schools all over the country now springing up that are just there to get basketball players eligible. I don't look at Prime Prep like that. I have a great relationship with the school. We were on top of it. Our people looked at his transcript and admitted him. I had to go before council. But, I know what Kavar and Jordan went through. But they have a lot of kids. They're both, by the way, doing great in college. And there's a lot of kids coming out of Prime Prep right now that have been accepted to college and doing fine. I think what we're seeing happen, a lot of times you get these great players that the NCAA immediately red flags them, and they go over their courses and curriculum, and that's a normal thing. But I had a great experience with that school, and I would have been happy to have Jordan and Kavar.
And you'll continue to recruit from there, because there are schools that have told me off the record that they don't want to deal with prime prep because of those issues that have been brought up here recently.
Well, again, I look at Kavar and I look at Jordan. I look at there's a lot of football players that have gone on. I know what Deion's doing. I'm not going to have a problem with that. I'm always going to be over there. I don't think Emmanuel would be in this position if it wasn't for Ray Forsett and the counseling and training he gave him. And I'm really confident he would have gotten into SMU. But I'm glad you brought that up, because, I hear it all the time, but I hear it about a lot of other schools. And some schools I don't think are real, but I really believe Prime Prep's trying to do the right thing.
How do you feel about the prep to pro rule in 2006? I mean, granted, we've seen some guys like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant succeed going from high school to college, but not every kid's like that. Can Emmanuel Mudiay have been one of those guys if that rule wasn't in place?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've talked about this before. I want it to be like baseball, because the golfer can do it. Jordan's out there playing golf and doing pretty well. Tennis players do it. Musicians do it. Entertainers. I would like it to be like high school, like baseball. But I wish there was a board together in the NBA that could say, hey, Emmanuel, you can do it. You're good enough. You're going to be drafted in the top 5 or 10. But if they go to school, let them stay 3 years. Because I think that there's great coaching in college basketball. The happiest years of the kids' lives, even the guys I coached in the NBA, were when they went to college. And if you're going to go for 2 or 3 years, you're definitely going to go for the right reasons. You're going to try to get your degree, and there's life after basketball. But in Emmanuel's case, I don't think we would have been able to recruit him. I think he would have gone to the NBA. But most people are telling me now that they're really trying to get 2 years, which I think would really help. I think it would help the college game. I think it would help the pro game. And most importantly, it would help the kids.
Do you think there's any way that Emmanuel playing overseas and not being here with you or anything like that might hurt his draft stock eventually when it comes to it? He's got all the talent in the world, but being over in Asia anyway might hurt him.
Well, I don't want to see him. I might get in trouble for this. I don't want to see him go to Asia. I don't think it's going to hurt his draft status. Tyler did it, Jennings did it. Didn't work out great for them. Emmanuel's different. He's got great support from his family. I'm confident he's going to get in a good situation. And there's some great coaching over there. Maybe if he went to Asia or China, I don't know if we would have seen him a lot. But I think the exposure he'd get, playing in Europe, I think, most people are going to watch him. And let's face it, he played in the global games, played in the Jordan Classic, played in the McDonald's game. A lot of people know me. I've been bragging about him. And I'm not just saying this. I really believe he has a gift. I'd be really surprised if he's not the first, second, or third pick in the draft. He's that special.
I've got
I'm
one.
all right.
I was just curious about, as you talked about Brandon Jennings and Tyler. Granted, one of them went in the first round, the other went in the second round. A lot of basketball players have difficult situations at home. How is his so unique? I mean, is there a way to pull back the curtain and say kind of what he was dealing with?
That's my big concern. Most of the kids I recruit have difficult situations. They don't have maybe quite the gift that he has. So I'm troubled by that. We got to do something in college athletics. I don't want to pay kids, but I want them to all live like normal students. When I read about Napier, saying he went to bed hungry. What happened? Now we can feed him 24 hours a day. That's the best. Maybe when they hear about Emmanuel having to leave because he wanted to take care of his mom, maybe we can figure out a way to make these kids be able to live like normal students. Because in all honesty, what you asked me before, it's not for everybody to leave at a high school. I've seen too many kids fail. When I was in the NBA early on, there were a lot of young kids that I had to cut that weren't quite ready. That was tough. So, but there are so many kids that legitimately have a hardship, and we got to be careful about how we help them.
How would you do that then, not paying them? But do you have any ideas? I mean, I'm sure you've kicked it around your head a little bit.
Well, my son's going to be a sophomore here. We don't keep the same hours, but and if he wants to go get a meal, he wants to go to a movie, he needs to buy a pair of jeans. I want our kids to be able to live like normal students, and then I don't think they'd be looking to go elsewhere. And if a family wants to, to go to a game to see their son, let's try to help them. We do have the Pell Grant. We do have a lot of ways that we're trying to help kids. I think there's been tremendous progress being made. I don't want them to be paid because that'll ruin a lot of good things that we've already had here. But again, I would like every kid to be able to go to school like my son, and I think we have the ability to do that.
There was a story yesterday about your meeting with the Mudiay brothers and how you really pushed John Michael to stay here. Why was that so important to you to have him on the team next year?
Well, we made a commitment to him to come here, and he's a big part of my life now. He'd probably been captain of the team. He's had some knee issues, and but knowing that Emmanuel was going to pursue a pro career, John Michael's, in sports management. Mm-hmm. So what better person to have help handle you when you're, playing in the NBA? And he's got a gift academically in the way he deals with people. And I just want him around. And I thought that was our responsibility. He thought because Emmanuel was going that we didn't want him back. That was the furthest thing from my mind. I couldn't have looked at his mom and felt very good about myself.